This broadcast is brought to you by Dom DeLuise and some of the cast of Cannonball Run. Look, it's about that time, 6 games up in the new Champions League format, whereby the group stage in the old format would be ending. Now, principally we want to know what you think about it, but Pete and I have been watching it, going to games, summing it up, and this might not be a very scientific approach. But Pete, I would say that it's a tramposo, it's a tricksy format, because interviewing Andy Robertson the other day after he got man of the match against Girona, he talked about lots of things, the league format, more competitive, 6 different rivals instead of like a group game where you just face 3 rivals twice. And he talked about lots and lots of goals. Now, there's been the same amount of goals this season so far. 6 games in, a new format, with big teams occasionally struggling. Peripherally, what are you thinking about it?
When Florentino Perez came up with that dastardly scheme of his, announced on primetime television to the world, we're doing this now, by the way, and it turned out we weren't doing that now, by the way. But in most bad schemes, there's always a splinter of something decent. And one thing that I thought they were onto something was the fact that you tend to get the same game, or you tended to get the same games over and over again. Teams will be drawn in the same groups, and the thing about playing each other twice. So, well, that's more honest format, and this is a dishonest format because you make play this team at home, play that team away. It's given us better fixtures. There's no question about it. Dortmund have played Madrid. Dortmund have played Barca. Both games were fantastic.
So it's a wider test. Are you saying that?
Yeah, and you just punters get a broader range of fixtures. We're not getting the same fixtures thrown up. Well, we don't know, it's the first year, but the same fixture would tend to be thrown up year after year because teams will be drawn in the same group, and you play each other twice, obviously.
I'll own up, like all of you that were used to the big interview Q&A, or anybody who's watching us together on La Liga television, one of the things that I find so refreshing is I take a problem, take an argument, take a philosophy, chew it through, come out with my usual rubbish, give the same question to Pete, and there's just this air of crispness and freshness. I don't know if you all feel the same about it, but what's intrigued me is that I have enjoyed it. I was a bit sceptical and cynical about the whole idea, and yet I'm a little bit finding it hard to understand specifically, unless it's a one-off, which we don't yet know, why PSG and Real Madrid are struggling, and what they're on 2 different sides of because the owner of Paris Saint-Germain is the head of the European clubs, and he likes this format. He doesn't want a Super League. Florentino is just about the only guy crying in this corner, taking his thumb out of his pie and saying, I want a Super League. They'll both be feeling, well, this isn't what we want either. We don't want to go out of Europe after 8 games.
No, they probably won't, though, will they? Well, certainly not Real Madrid.
Arithmetically, now Real Madrid's recent results says maybe not, yeah.
And I get the sense that the format has almost lulled Madrid into a false sense of, well, we're going to go through. You know, I mean, so many teams go through. It'll be very difficult for us not to go through. And you can imagine some of the players not even looking at the table the first 3-4 games because it doesn't mean anything. And now they find themselves in a situation where, they've got to pull their royal fingers out for these last games.
I want to make a case for Girona and Leipzig in particular, because there are all kinds of things going on right now whereby Liverpool, with a completely new manager who's got very little experience of playing the big teams, unbeaten, top of the league, they're going to win 40 million euros for it. Barcelona, hapless in the last 5 games in La Liga, like pretty much La Liga's worst side over the last 5 games, yet second top. They could have beaten Monaco had Eric Garcia not been sent off, because with 10 men, they were more in the match for Monaco. That's an anomaly to me, but anomalous in terms of pain. Leipzig's fixture list has been absolutely brutal and they've been slapped about. Girona didn't prepare particularly well for this season in the transfer market, but they've had to play Paris Saint-Germain away, Liverpool, Milan, Arsenal. Girona and their ilk, their varieties going forward, are not equipped to handle that sort of impact.
No, and certainly not when you have the sort of window that Girona had, and it wasn't a good window. And it's maybe easy to say it now that we've seen all the new signings, but the drop in quality has been immense. And to hear people talk about Mitchell has maybe shown himself up in the Champions League and proved that he's not a Champions League coach. He doesn't help himself, by the way, by saying that very humbly in his post-match press conference after Liverpool. But me and you both know that is absolutely not true. And he's been given a squad that he's not Champions League class. But I think you're right. The smaller clubs, maybe this doesn't really help them.
If the draw goes against you, you're going to be facing something that you would never have faced in the group stage. 3, 4 really big teams coming with their baseball bats, looking to wall up your arse. I'd really like to know what you think about it. I've still got verdict withheld, but the games I've been at, I've enjoyed. One of the promises made was games are going to count. The games are really going to count for particularly Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid to see if they can get into the knockouts. Barcelona and the rest of the top 8, they'll be trying to stay there. Liverpool are virtually assured. I think they're assured of top 8 and a big chunk of money. There's been good games. The amount of goals per game, about 3.2 per game, is exactly the same as the last 3-4 years. Here's your opportunity. Let me know on Substack. What do you think about it so far?